Hi, everybody. It is your girl, LaShawn Phoenix Moore. So happy to connect with each of you tonight. We were hoping to do this from a live space. However, we're in the middle of a global pandemic. And in the middle of a global pandemic, technical issues happen. And so we tried to do some little back end work to correct that, and then just decided that we weren't going to, no, we decided we won't turn back. And so we're ever pushing onward to bring you some live entertainment, to uplift your spirits, to inspire connection, to revel in poetry together. And so I have some incredible artists here tonight for the Inside Out's We Won't Turn Back Black History Month reading. Now, one of the things that I shared with all of the artists that are performing tonight was that Black history is every single day in the bodies of a Black person. So while I have a complicated relationship with Black History Month, I do not have a complicated relationship with being a living epistle and with Black history streaming through my bones every single day. And the artists that you are going to be connecting with tonight are just as militant about that point. Featured this evening are the Youth Advisory Board of Inside Out. Super excited to have them come in to perform. So let's start there. Shaking my nerves off, making sure that I'm not cussing in the space. Hey, Suma. I'll be a great host. You're going to have a great night. Thank you for not turning back. We won't either. First person coming up to the stage. This artist has been with Inside Out for a number of years. I've actually had the opportunity to coach several teams that she was on. She is a member of the Detroit Youth Performance Troupe, the inaugural performance troupe that we had this year. Powerful, incredible work that was produced in her chapbook, Close Enough to Touch. She's also a member of the Youth Advisory Board, and I like to coin her the Mary J. Blige of poetry because she hits you hard and she hits you real. First artist coming to the stage, my girl, and hopefully your girl after this, Jayla Glenn.
Hi, this is a poem I have titled When the Block is Hot. Because we used to play outside with the sun laying babies on our backs, and that will be the only cover that wrapped around our bodies before boys came into play. I only wanted to swim that summer, but my father was too busy needing me by his side that I couldn't be child. But still, there I was running down the pothole-filled streets, falling off of bikes and trying my hardest not to cry at scars that were already there. And everybody knew the block was hot, and nobody knew where the heat was coming from. But we knew the smell of barbecue lingered for days we never slept, only played in the grass and jumped from house to house with new adventures controlling our minds. And I knew that I couldn't get this type of anything from anywhere but the block. My people who wear names on their shirts and bodies, tattooed tears stain their eyes and a smile on their faces when the stone on their porches makes them remember that they are alive. And this is their street. This is our block and my house, and nobody can tell me otherwise. Because the sun shines on these cracked roads, and the night pours over these hands with the reflection of blue. And I know that I belong here just like everybody else. Okay, that was the first poem. The second one is called Utopia for my NIGGAs. A utopia full of niggas. That's what the poem is called. A walk in the park. A simple stroll to the gas station. A bunch of Black everywhere. So many other examples of freedom, of experience. We've come so far and did not have to lose anybody to show it. The news will be sunny every morning. We don't expect saltwater rain cloud. We can dress up our other issues all pretty and perfect. No more caskets have to fly. Our arms can rest, and so can our parents. Look at how bold my mouth is now to anybody who questions my Blackness. Arms are free from my window. No more bullet hole competitions. We only do backflips around this house. My brothers stay alive around this house. Ain't nobody gotta cry around this house. You see how all the clouds are pushed aside. You hear them wound cries, they so loud. They push out so much, my goodness. It's such a beautiful place we live in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jayla. All of my friends out there, please give Jayla some digital hand claps, finger snaps, toe taps, and international worldwide daps. Thank you, sis, for opening our show. This next artist coming to the stage is a member of the Youth Advisory Board. I had the opportunity to meet her this year. She's gotten a whole bunch of rave reviews about her work ethic and how she cares about Citywide Poets from our teaching artist. She has been an absolute pleasure to work with on the Youth Advisory Board. And our upcoming event, Corona 365 Days of Coronication, was an idea spawned by this incredible youth artist. Put your hands together digitally in your mind, give some daps to my friend and hopefully your friend after this, Cassidy.
Hello. This is called A Bed of Roses in Georgia. We claim that time has moved, that which was no longer is, but there is innocent blood which waters these flowers and blooms a deep-seated hatred on the same ground as 100 years prior. What was still is, this dirt proves that it will always be. For we stand here as we always have, still fighting for even an ounce of equality.
Thank you so much, Cassidy. Cassidy said, I came in here to let y'all know we still fighting for equality in this interesting new world that we're all living in. Cassidy, thank you so much. Thank you for your bravery and for connecting with us during Black History Month. Cassidy is on our Youth Advisory Board, and she was like, well, should I do it because I'm not Black? And I said, absolutely, because you are surrounded by Black people all the time, so you get pieces and parts of the Black experience. And she came to the table with something very beautiful to say. So thank you so much, sis. This next artist that's coming to the stage, I had the first opportunity to meet them this year. They too were also highly recommended to come on to our Youth Advisory Board this year. And they also applied. They didn't have to get like a personal or special invitation. Once they saw the opportunity for the Youth Advisory Board come across our networks, they were completely ready to come in, dig in, and challenge the way that InsideOut Literary Arts Project considers all of the work that we do. This artist is going to get their cherry popped, their proverbial cherry popped, Suma, for the parents. This is their first time coming on stage as an artist, their very first performance. And I'm thrilled that we'll get the opportunity to let them bloom, get their sea legs for the first time on this stage. Without further ado, put your hands together for my friend and hopefully your friend after this, Robin Elliott.
Thank you, Phoenix. This is my first one, 2020. May 25th, we may know the name, the one of the many who had passed in vain, by the knee of a privileged sucking his life out by the neck, like he was the prey in the most dangerous game. Robbed a man of his last breath, the man deserved to die with those he loved. Instead, he meets God with bystanders begging the monster to let go. Took a man's life away with sadistic joy. He couldn't breathe. The importance of his life was measured by the color of his skin. May 25th, we may know the name. This next one is called Bubble. Do you know who you are, what you believe, your philosophy, who you like, what your hobbies are, even in a time of quarantine where it's hard to feel much joy? Do you have a solid idea or are you just hoping for the best? Are you experiencing anxiety? Life feels as if it's at a standstill. Routine day and depressing times. Your thoughts feel like a dream. Are you sure you're not having a nightmare? Can you just wake up and feel at ease? Do you really wish it were that simple? Do you fear that everyone around you may die by the end of this? Do you fear that you will never be able to tell them that you love them again? That you will remain alone in a bubble? That you will never be able to claim your love for your friends again? Everything is vague. The news makes life an unfortunate hell. You're waiting for some sort of hope. Until then, know that those you love most are safe at home. Give them a call, even if you feel a little strange. Tell them you love them as if the end of the world is near. They may need it as much as you do, and as things get better, so will you.
Thank you so much, Robin. Very good on your very first poetic reading. Um, I definitely identified with your second piece. First of all, your first piece dedicated to George Floyd was fantastic. And the second poem that you did, just kind of helping us to critically think about how we're navigating through the pandemic. I appreciated that. Hopefully, tonight, those of you who are still navigating through the pandemic will have an opportunity to continue to have your spirits lifted by tonight's offerings. So the last artist that's coming to the stage from the Youth Advisory Board, this poet, I've had an opportunity to judge them in all the best ways in the Ham Slam that happened over December. This poet writes at a level, they they are a youth poet, but they write better than a lot of the adult poets that I've encountered. Shade absolutely intended. Um, the way that they perform is fantastic. Their critical approach to the arts is fantastic. Like I just everything that she touches, I have enjoyed. Recently, she had an opportunity to do a Black History Month program with the city of Detroit, where she collaborated with a musician, like a Detroit Symphony Orchestra type or Wayne State University type musician, classically trained artist. And this artist set their music to what this next poet was saying, and it was absolutely powerful. She is a member of the Detroit Youth Performance Troupe. I also believe she's a member of Mosaic. Brilliant artist, happy to have her here. Hope that we can entice her to consider the Youth Performance Troupe of 2021. Without further ado, and closing out the first half of our set, please get those digital hands together for my friend and hopefully your friend after this event, Ife Martin.
Oh, well, thank you for that amazing intro. My first piece that I'll be performing today is entitled Chocolate Ice Cream. I tug on my warm black jeans that hug my thighs like an old friend, but the seams still dig into my skin, a reminder that I'm the one that doesn't fit. So I never really understood the appeal. As I sit, they melt like chocolate ice cream on a hot summer's day. I watch the flies buzz around, longing for its sticky sweetness. I never really understood the appeal. In their eyes, it must be prize game. Another head on the wall. I shrink into myself, hoping to distract them with the flick of my mane and chirp of my laugh. They laugh as they inch closer. I feel the walls close around me. Does nobody see this? I breathe. Oh, oh my God. It was a joke. I never really understood the appeal. But I just smile and laugh it off. I tattoo is just a joke into my inner thigh in case I forget. They like you better if you don't resist. Try not to flinch. You realize in time that they lied when they said your body is yours. Confidence is like a medal of honor. You have to earn it. Until then, you're like a creature in a zoo on display, only beckon to pet and play. This isn't a game I want to play. This isn't a game. You think it's a game I lost. Be prepared, I say. When they come and break off a piece, you bar of chocolate. The idea stays tempting. Their taste buds, they're tempted. It's your fault. You're sweet. Dark. You're bitter. Don't be bitter. They just fetishize your kind exotic. You have a foreign taste that burns your native tongue. You're from somewhere in between two homes that were never yours. You belong to no one and everyone, anyone but yourself. It doesn't matter if I don't understand the appeal. I'm bound to a 400-year-old contract that says it's okay for them to dig into my skin and buzz about my sweetness and hump me like prey. I can't pray about such trivial things. It's just a joke. It's not that serious. The thought of the phrase makes me gag. A wave of uncomfortable makes me feel like I'm drowning. My brain screams for me to breathe, but I can't because I'm drowning. I never understood the appeal. Of drowning. I heard it was the most peaceful death, though. I mean, you fight, and you fight, and you fight until you just let go. The seams of my worn black jeans finally rip. The ice cream is now an unrecognizable pool on the street. My body collapses. Am I fighting? Or am I just letting go? Thank you. That was my first poem, Chocolate Ice Cream. And my next poem is A Letter to Dr. King. Dear Martin, 70 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic name we stand today declared he had a dream that swelled the chests of his people and sparked a fire in their eyes, a dream that inspired generations. But Dr. King, what's a dream if you can't make it reality? It becomes a fairy tale. Stories lost to time, etched into our bones, buried with broken bodies, burdened on stolen land where strange fruit still hangs on West Coast trees, and we're questioning if the right to live is a luxury. It's not up to me to save those who put holes in our ship. Our cries for help are seen as rioting. The world takes so much and it's still adding on fees. My mama told me that nothing in this life is truly free. I should have listened. I wish we would have listened in history. That way it wouldn't repeat itself. But history is written by the victors. And we can barely win an Oscar. We can barely win an election without an insurrection, and somehow we still share in the blame. So what are we supposed to do now? Because violence isn't the answer, but peace sure ain't working. And unlike everyone else, we can't pretend like it doesn't exist. Delete it from our timelines and change our profile pics. When did you realize you were living more than just a movement? When your insistence became a fight for existence, when these rights we long for, civil or unalienable, are the things keeping me up at night. When do you have time to dream? I'm sure you're plagued with the same nightmares as me. Where darkness steals your breath, sound lost in a vacuum of space, and sweat beads on your skin as if it was somehow protected. Now realizing it's the very thing that makes you a threat. Why does it still make me a threat? What good's the content of my character if it's colored by my skin? If I'm not as white as the castle's ivory's walls, I'm formidable comme la porte de no retour. I'm formidable like the door of no return. I'm formidable like the last sight you see when you're being stolen from your home, invoking fear with my mere presence. Doctor, when do you have time to dream? When they force me to stay woke. I'm forced to educate my oppressors. I'm not allowed to get rest. This sacred time my body needs to survive is now an act of resistance. Dr. King, I want to see your dream. We've come so far. I mean, we've come so far, right? Then why is everything we do seen as wrong? We tell them we're thugs because the hate you give, but they still think it's a work of fiction and a Tupac song. We're bashed in the media and targeted in the streets. From the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire to the curvaceous slopes of Cali, Dr. King asked Langston what happens to a dream deferred. How it dries up like a raisin in the sun, how it festers and breaks down like a weary mother carrying the world on her shoulders. You see what this dream deferred is made of shoulder. We face bullets and whips, fire hoses and tear gas, dogs and tanks aimed at empty palms gracing the sky, but we keep trying. Streets flooded with tears and blood, our voices filling the sky, collecting over storm clouds, hoping to one day rain down upon us the change we speak. So Dr. King, thank you for this dream. But it seems that one day you've hoped for is yet to come. And glory only belongs to common legends. Your dream isn't dead. Because we are the future. Expanding beyond an American dream, we got the world to join our fight. Opening eyes to our harsh reality and shining light on our greatness, like that freedom song goes. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Thank you. That was Dear Martin.
Wow, thank you so much, Ife. I am holding back emotion. Thank you so much. Jayla, thank you so much. Cassidy, thank you so much. Robin, and again, Ife, I echo some of the things that are happening in our Zoom right now. Chills, absolute chills. And that is a beautiful way to bring in our featured artists for tonight. We have 4 incredible poets, Detroit based. One of them was Detroit born and raised, but he in Philadelphia right now. We still love him though. I was chatting about how I knew him since he was an itty bitty little baby. And now he's super grown, has been a youth poet laureate, has done so many incredible things. And each one of these artists that's coming to the stage tonight is not without their own laurels. So let's get into this. We won't turn back, right? If that is our future, we absolutely have nothing to look back on negatively. There is a hope, and I won't turn back because there is a hope. Thank you again, Youth Advisory Board, and thank you for curating this beautiful event. This first artist that's coming to the stage is my boss, period. And then he's my friend. I had an opportunity to see this artist, which is so interesting that he's my boss. The youth are the world, they are the future, because I remember watching this cat grow up in the Detroit artist community, grow up in InsideOut Literary Arts Project, grow up into a husband and father, an incredible program coordinator right now for the Citywide Poets, award-winning Citywide Poets. And his work, sometimes when you are delved deep into the work, you don't get to always shine all of your creative prowess. So we don't often get to see all of the things that this poet actually knows how to do, including coming out with an incredible book, Black Matilda. Tonight, though, tonight is about showcasing his talent and hearing some of the thoughts that he has about his every single day Black experience. So without further ado, I'm happy to introduce you to my friend. I definitely know he'll be your friend after this, Justin Rogers.
Hey y'all, what's good? Thank you, Phoenix, much appreciated. You are a fantastic host. And thank you, YAB, for pulling this together and pulling me into it. I am honored. All right, I'm gonna read a couple of poems. This first one is a poem about Detroit, and it's read 2 ways. So this is answering what is it about Detroit with the word Detroit swapped with history. I'll read it with Detroit first and then with history second. Detroit keeps being taken out of context. Detroit is dangerous to those who don't understand it. Like the church, Detroit is made up of the people who worship there. I want Detroit to feel holy. like Detroit is a psalm still being written. All of Detroit's empty plots belong to somebody Black. When white people ask me about Detroit, I suspect they're joking. They seem to know every silver lining Detroit holds, but not the suffering, not the police, crack, disease. They lay claim to a Detroit they didn't earn. I want Detroit out of their mouth before it becomes another joke that Detroit cannot recover from. You keep getting Detroit wrong. The bad part about Detroit is that Detroit never knows how to stop being itself. Detroit knows many imposters, but does not know code switch. I want Detroit to be violent, abrasive, loud, ghetto. I want the lean in my walk to make passersby say, that's Detroit. Detroit is split into two sides. The grass is always on the other side. When Detroit grows something, another Detroit is being dug up. I want Black people to own it all. This city, Detroit. I would be lying if I said I didn't enjoy white people's fear of the real Detroit. Sometimes Detroit even fears itself. Second one. History keeps being taken out of context. History is dangerous to those who don't understand it. Like the church, history is made up of the people who worship there. I want history to feel holy, like history is a psalm still being written. All of history's empty plots belong to somebody Black. When white people ask me about history, I suspect they're joking. They seem to know every silver lining history holds, but not the suffering, not the police, crack, disease. They lay claim to a history they didn't earn. I want history out of their mouths before it becomes another joke history cannot recover from. You keep getting history wrong. The bad part about history is that history never knows how to stop being itself. History knows many imposters, but does not know code switch. I want history to be violent, abrasive, loud, ghetto. I want the lean in my walk to make passersby say, that's history. History is split into two sides. The grass is always on the other side. When history grows something, another history is being dug up. I want Black people to own it all. This city, history. I would be lying if I said I didn't enjoy white people's fear of the real history. Sometimes history even fears itself. Awesome. All right, I'm shift over to my next piece. The rest of these are older poems. This is Turnt Gospel. Sometimes the gospel is turned, the choir a synchronized dab, and the church bows their heads over and over on beat like the war is over or just beginning. It's something about that bass line behind an open bottle of hallelujah that reminds all the saints that the devil is offbeat as fuck and grimy with it. How is the war ever over when the saints still think Jesus was offbeat too? Like he ain't prophesied Southern playalistic Cadillac music and give it to the hood as gospel. Like these ebonics not sacred, a scripture, how we stay saved. Sometimes the turnt is gospel. The twerk a ghost that can't be shook. The block party a grill filled with communion. What blood have we shed to eat ribs whole? How much wine is soaked up by graves? When the beat drops, so do our burdens and the code switches back to nigga, and some people think it don't take all that. Think we need to behave ourselves like God ain't gift us survival instincts. Like these hands can't nuck and pray. The turnt is testimony. The blessing is how God fills our cups to the brim and we drink and lift every voice in chorus. Awesome. So two more poems staying along that same track. This is What is More Holy, Clapback or Hallelujah. 1, what you thought this was? Who ain't been blessed with a properly placed punchline popping a nigga Twitter ego? Words become prayers when you clap for each syllable. Clapback happens when a nigga who you wished would, did, and it's time to get the Lord involved. Time to teach the side of a neck what that praise hand do. What you thought it was to clap back? To sin? We used to clap with clips, now the tongue do the job just fine. God, no niggas fear voices more than bullets, too. What would Jesus do? Jesus would clap back. What you expect from someone willing to be crossed to save the hood? Yes, Jesus saved the hood, made fatherhood a dull switchblade in a fist fight, gave the fatherless a clapback testimony bloody enough to make the parent privileged praise a God who stay ready to snap, no matter who you ain't got, no matter how gutter you gotta get to teach the devil how to fix his face when you talk hallelujah. Word. All right, thank y'all again for having me. This is my last piece. This is titled Eli Faces His Face. My son Eli is 3. Everybody says his side eyes write novels in one glance. My face is the stencil book Eli uses to sketch his feelings. I am 28 and I know better, but my face doesn't know how to keep the eyebrow low, the mouth shut, hold the smile like a lie either. My face is a bad blueprint, a misleading map spilling what the fuck over every conversation my cheekbones visit. I feel like a 3-year-old, like he's so cute till you ask him to do something, till he wants to change the subject, and then I become fake. What's wrong with him? Why you do his face like that? At 28, Eli will begin to feel how one end of his mouth becomes a fisherman's hook, piercing every word it doesn't agree with. His smile's an inherited delusion where every conversation is bait. His jaw a question marking his face rogue, untrustworthy, never saying what's on his mind. So shady, he must not check the mirror. No home training. What will his children do with faces so quick to reveal the tongue before it is ready to slice? Thank y'all.
Thank you so much, Justin. That is definitely how you open up the vet set. That was so righteously dope. Beautiful to hear how you're living inside of your Black experience. A couple of those poems I haven't heard before. A couple of those poems I've read and heard in Black Matilda. It is still available. You can Google Black Matilda by Justin Rogers to get a copy of that. Keep Detroit artist working. And he does this incredible poetry and also runs Citywide Poets. So just a privilege and a pleasure to be able to enjoy your work today. Thank you, Justin. This next artist that's coming to the stage is my girl. I love her. I mean, like, I love her. We became fast friends when I was her coach in the slam community, but I have been admiring her for a couple of years before I became her coach. Her work is real grown. It is really grown. I was very surprised that some of the topics that came out of her mouth was coming out of the body and the experience of a youth poet. And this is a note to you parents. Stop underestimating your kids. Don't try to work so hard to shield them, because they see and they know. And when given the opportunity to express, sometimes their thoughts are so refreshing and beautiful and provide a brand new and renewed perspective. So I'm so glad that I've had the opportunity to not only enjoy this artist when they were on the slam team for Inside Out. She graduated out. She produced her own chapbook. I hope that she will jump back into the love and thrill of writing. When I extended this opportunity to her, it was an immediate yes. And then it was, look over these poems. What do you think? I don't know. And I was like, fire. And so I'm so glad to have her return back to the stage. And I also know that our executive director, Suma, is a huge fan of this poet. So without further ado, I'm about to introduce you to a real one. Get those digital hands together for my girl, Imani.
Oh, hey. I got 4 poems like everybody else. I'm gonna start with 2 old ones, and then I just found inspiration randomly, and I'll read 2 new ones. So, can you guys hear me okay? Like, is this good? Okay. The first is, we don't come from college funds. My mother is behind on the bills again. I got money hidden inside of a birthday card, amount the opposite of the year turned, 15, 51. I say thank you for the card. I don't tell my mother about the money. Grandma says it's only for me, and I don't have to share. In fact, I'll be in trouble with her a red cent of it. Grandma offers to keep the money in her apartment. My mother has found all of my hiding spots, underneath the mattress, behind the dresser, inside of my grandmother's chest. It is funny how money and secret, they go hand in hand. And you can never use the same hiding place twice. That was my first one. The second one's gonna be called Table Etiquette. Do as you were taught. Remember your grandmother. Say thank you after he hands you what little comes off his hook. You, once a fish, once a rod in an afternoon of waiting. Good manners and humility. You, crossed legs, chin up, remember the line. Don't forget to say that you are grateful. Be a lady fish, thankful to have your last breath beneath his thumb, above water. Gut yourself, clean yourself. You shouldn't have to work for his supper. And now the new ones. So this first one is entitled, What Did I Know About the Waters? Remember that memory, the way I bled brown and hardened, honey bled heavy like paper mache puppets and fist tongues for weeks, pooling all that fell like rain in buckets with his not name carved on the sides like road maps and boy. My womb, the water that they pulled and plucked and poured you from is still running. I beg of you, return to me. And as for myself, promise to pray and prep and pry back the callous folds of your hands. There is soft beneath the hardest parts of you. I say with open and wounded womb flesh to the world, I owe you a son. Like the confidence of green hues in your fields, like the mulberries coming into season once more and always. If he were ever to return to this place, I could make my body a good thing, all of my debts paid. And this last one, I'm kind of excited about. I've been trying to write this poem, like inspired by Dwight from The Office. It's entitled The Office, season 9, episode 17. And it's the one where Dwight's aunt died or whatever. And they're like, oh, this soil is crap or whatever, like nothing's gonna grow here. Whatever, I'm gonna just get into it. Does it matter the health of soil if everything planted is already dead? I mean, can you taste the earth in handfuls? Use your tongue to push and knead into a mud inside your mouth. Feel the pebbles pop and sand themselves between your jaw. I mean, can you even list to dirt the names of all the things that could be alive inside of it? Daffodils, stalks of lavender, you. I mean, is it polite to lust atop barren plains knowing no fruit will come of it? Polite to bury me without proof? The seeds inside of my head cannot root down my throat and out and up bloom through blades of grass. I mean, would you pick the sprout from ground and think, say she still has something to say? She is not finished, not dead, and pull me out of the earth once more? That's it.
Imani, it is so good to have your voice back into an artistic space. I mean, those were your two new pieces. I mean, thank you. Thank you so much. Your voice still shakes me. And I'm very pleased that you performed. I'm glad that we got to share you today, and I hope that it's not the last time. So this next artist that's coming up to the stage, um, every time that I have an opportunity to do a show with her, I try to find more and more creative ways to say that I started off as a fangirl back in our mahogany years when she was dating this very fair young fellow with dreadlocks who I was on a slam team with, who will remain nameless. And when I heard different languages come out of her mouth, and then heard her poetry, and then saw how she lived her life, and saw how she lived her life all over the world, I always count it an honor when I can hold her in my hands, because she is a passing, magical, beautiful gift. And I don't know if it will be fair to ask her to root in one place, although every time I see her in person, I always ask her, "Are you still here? You still live here? Do you still live here? Are you coming back?" I love her so much. I am so inspired by her work. One of the first pieces that I got my hand on of a body of work of hers was the American Family Syndrome. And I had a chance to listen to her perform excerpts from that work at MOCAD, and I was moved. And then follow that up with her latest book, Tapping Out, and to watch her mix language and vibe and color and energy into a space. And I'm always considering, what is she going to do next, and if she's going to actually do it in Detroit. And so, to a woman who can hold my heart no matter where in the world she is, but I always like it when she comes to visit us here. Please get those digital hands together for one of my great loves, one of the most inspiring women that I know in the arts, and one of the most inspiring sisters that I know, period. Nandi Comer.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Thank you so much, Phoenix. Like, we gonna have to have a talk about who that was and when, because I don't know. We gonna have to have a talk. But thank you so much for inviting me here. For so many reasons, there was no question about coming here and reading some poems with Inside Out for the Black History Month. One, because Black History Month, and two, because Inside Out basically gave me language, gave me a space to use a language that I didn't know where I could use it. And I've always come back to Inside Out to find spaces to develop my craft from since I was in high school on into when I was an adult and teaching. And so I just am always, anytime y'all want anything, y'all pretty much can count on me. So I'm actually going to start off with a poem about teaching that I wrote in response to like being in one of my, it was when I was in an Inside Out classroom as a writer in residence, on coming home to teach. I tell my student he is not a corpse. I know, I'm a wrecked train. I show him my scars. He holds up a hand, peeks through a hole some boy stabbed out of his palm. We've never seen each other outside of school, but we wake on the same block to a woman jamming a man's fist. He sneaks into gated backyards where chained pit bulls lurch. Hope is the snap of their angry collars. I've known what it is to pacify panic. Singing words are useless. Cold water splashed over sidewalk blood. When I leave, he will cut off his tongue, tame his outbursts. Each day, death will bend his body into his desk. If I speak for him, it will only return my fear. If I speak for him, this poem is his suicide note. So I am going to read three other poems that are not anywhere yet. They're all new pieces. And so I was thinking a lot about thinking about Black history and Detroit history. So the first poem, second poem is Ode to the Deep Lull in the Back of Your Throat. And it's written after a piece that hangs up in the DIA. It is Reginald Gaiman's portrait of Roland Hayes, who was a singer. He was a Jubilee singer who was also an opera singer who refused to do what a lot of people were asking Black artists to do at the time, which was sing minstrelsy. He turned towards operatic work. Ode to the Deep Lull in the Back of Your Throat. Darling Georgia backwoods boy, singing that way should hurt. That wail and mourn should burn your dark mouth. You are no soot-faced minstrelsy, never the dark curtain propped of a pale audience. Calm tenor of the South, jubilant hymn, you will say no to vaudeville and fall in love with Caruso. Your borrowed language and bold tongue is a risky ballad in Berlin. You know a deep danger in the Negro chord fluttering from your esophagus. You refuse to be a backdoor invitation or held in the shadows until the guests have arrived. Still under the deep lull in the back of your throat, we will hear an excellent archive. Son of slaves, your spirit a singular sound so lovely it will swing records onto the chariot of your voice, and others will come. Others who have never heard of your voice, cut Boston orchestra halls, never heard of you, but will step onto the phantom of your stage. Soloists and choirs will carry in their voices the same haunted timbre and moan, the break and heartache that only this country can fasten to a voice. And though your struggle will seem like nothing but a footnote in their concert, you, dear singer, are a keystone in the hall of our history. I'm gonna be reading off the computer, which is so sad because it means that I have to depart from all the beautiful faces I see in the Zoom. I love seeing you all when I'm reading. So I have to go over to Word and read, and excuse the glare. But this next poem is a praise song for Toni Morrison. I just been reading her work from her first book to her most recent in consecutive order. And so I've been thinking a lot about her imagery. So in praise of more important things for Toni Morrison. Praise the bonnet, the slit up her red skirt in a jazz club, the greased scalp and laid curl. Praise the cracking voice calling from the kitchen at dawn. Praise ruffle and tulle, t-shirts and blow pops, and knowing how to leave a hot comb on long enough to straighten but not scorch. Praise ashy knuckles and aunties that warm them, small patent leather shoes dragging down the sidewalk to Sunday school. Praise the dancing tree and ghost. Praise the uncle's leg and how he forgets that limp every Sunday in the house of the Lord. In praise of more important things, praise brown legs and tan palms. Praise the audacity of kindness and hope and goodness. Praise the sacred basement sweat and rub, the weight of an overloaded family reunion cookout plate. Praise every smack and lick finger, and praise the skillet, crock pot, and baking pan soiled and piled up in every Labor Day kitchen sink. Praise the hands that will clean them. Praise the morning dweller in her lake cottage, recording all of our important things. Praise her eyes and her hand and her pen. And my last poem is, this pandemic, I've just been writing angry poems, and I've just decided that most of my poems are responses to stupid things that people say. And so one thing that people keep asking me, people who are not familiar with Detroit, they know that there's another story. And so they keep asking me to tell the story that they don't know. And they keep asking, like, what do people get wrong when they try to tell stories about Detroit? And so I wrote this poem in response to that, because I feel like part of the problem is that they don't ask Detroiters to tell their own story. And so the title of the poem is that question: what do you feel like people get wrong when they try to tell stories about Detroit? Everything. The calligraphy of burned rubber and a joyride scrolled and spinning every street corner. Driving out of the way to go to your familiar liquor store. The murals memorializing our loss, and the towering face of a woman rocking an old English D as big as your face. Everything. You've forgotten 6 a.m. tamales in Southwest, West Side bare knuckle fight clubs. If you are not careful, you will miss the bedazzled clusters of red hat club ladies gathering for third Sunday brunch. How a rainbow casino beckons the luck thirsty beggars. Outsiders never say river. And you are an outsider. Say it. If you only see the motor, you forget Gators and Coney Islands. Every sad sag in our porch is from the weight of a good grill or a nighttime rib cookout. There is a street where a man has piled shoes around a collection of vacuums. He lives in a polka dotted house. We call it home. Careful not to forget our affinity for the elaborate and bright. Our weekend outfits are laced and gold gilded shine. Everything you were thinking is not enough. Every shrub, every face, every burnout building is not a conjuring to be storied. We are a slighted bunch, a forgotten myth. Come, sit in our open-faced burger of a city, find the fantasy between your children's teeth and a summer torrential storm. Where is your story? Take a seat, listen. Thank you.
Nandi, thank you again so much for taking my breath away, as you often do. Really appreciate your work. Love that last piece. In our chat here, I got to see Imani say that she really needed your Toni Morrison dedication piece. And I absolutely echo that. Just move beyond words. So thank you so much. You already know, like, this is why I love her so much. So the final artist, Nandi, mute yourself. So the final artist coming to the stage. Woo, it's been a journey, y'all. We literally will not turn back. We started off with our youth advisory board. We had the opportunity to hear works from Jayla, Cassidy, Robin, and Ife. And then we turned over to our featured artist, where we got to enjoy brilliant, eye-opening, schooling us like we want to be schooled work from Justin Rogers, who Black Matilda is still one of my favorite books that has come out. Beautiful that he used that story in order to create this incredible, incredible body of work. And then following Justin, having another InsideOut Literary Arts alum, Imani, who I love so much and who I am so glad that I had the opportunity to cultivate both an artistic and personal friendship with. And then just being touched and schooled. Nandi schooled Justin, Nandi schooled me. Nandi still schools us in the way that she loves Detroit, Black people, good food, the world. Happy to be touched by her Black experience. And now we close out with this young man whose name I am going to say correctly and not call him by the little nickname that I have given him since he was in his mama's belly. This young man was born, literally born into the word. Powerful and prolific young artist, was the poet laureate of Philadelphia, has wowed so many stages, shut stages and amphitheaters down with his voice. We used to credit him as if he was walking in the shadow of his powerful mama. But this young man has a voice that stands all on his own. He is the Lion King. He is an incredible youth poet. And I am so glad that I get to say I knew him when he was making small poems up when he was a wee baby. So without further ado, Inside Out alum, so glad to have him on tonight's show, closing out our event. Get those digital hands together for my baby, Wes Matthews. Show him some love.
Thank you so much for that introduction. It's so one of a kind. Like there's only one person in the world who can do that introduction for me. So I really appreciate that. I'm also just elated to be in this space. I'm really emotional right now. Like I haven't been in space with Inside Out for a long time. And this just means a lot to me. I'm glad it could happen through the virtual format. You know, it's a small miracle for me. Yeah, so I'm gonna jump into these poems. This first one comes from a series that I've been writing that kind of reimagines Greek mythological tales in a way that I think they deserve to be thought about. And that's all I'll say about it. It's called Black Narcissus. You would never understand the bounds of my love until you have been marked for death. Death by desire, a live body, winged and caught in palisade teeth, lost pride, struggling against the grain, vermin preyed on my handsomeness, not beauty, but joy. So I figured this departure from body, rehearsed over and over again until my blood no longer startled, until I gave up on seeking escape. Once I traced the grooves of my back with an unfired arrow, mapped out the breakaways of my nerves, became immortal only in the sense that I could not love anything, living or dead. This was not a long ceremony, love's haunted language burning slowly under my tongue. As everything fell still, I was already by the pool of my fate. A search for meaning surfaced as an illusion of light falling to catch an exact entry into my body, only scars dimming in the twilight cradle. Like water, the intimacy of being alive will carry whomever is daring enough to trust it. Some days I have no other choice but to open my eyes. That's poem one. This is poem two. It's after John Coltrane, one of my favorite jazz musicians, and it's called John Coltrane Plays Giant Steps with No One Else in the Room. I'm ascending up a spiral staircase with a price to my step. Steepness is my only worry, so I thought, but then I reckoned up my destination, nowhere fast. Don't ask where I be going. I hardly recall the last place. City spurned me off before I played my ode to her mourning, half diminished. Me and my song, we took off like newspaper clippings flying in the westward wind, burning for an escape, and then a joint to play, and then a way to lay down these troubles for good. I don't find love in places easy, so I improvise. Blow changes in a new voice, hit a stride with a sputtering rhythm, sun in my eyes like God wants something more for me and I'm too strong to find it. I try to be an instrument of my own longing, something to rock this misery to sleep before it rock me. But all I got is this shot in the dark solo, this one last chance to translate the static of my soul, a riff just pretty enough to put down the habit and pick up the pace and pray like never before. All my life, I've been striving for this tune I couldn't find. I had to live without it, and then I had to live within it. Make something of the notes on the page without mistaking a line for gospel. It's all about finding a feel that move you forward. Keep your cold feet a shuffle. This world betrayed me, and I still carry on with my song. That's how you know that I love it. This is poem 3. It's called Love Song Redux. Maybe I am not in love with everything after all. I just can't bring myself to love whatever swallowed whole that brave-breasted meadowlark perched from my window edge this morning. I can't not love it either. The thing about hunger is that it feels too much like emptiness. Bravo, good assassin. Any way you look at it, I was bound to rehearse the fine strings of this sorrowscape, plain as day crusting over, the overlatched door, the tiny glass reflecting chimeras of flickering light through the halls I last wept. The charming spring of scented candles I lit expecting visitors that never came, the miasmic funk of heavy plumage, but I am not a hopeless romantic. My heart keeps beating and breaking and healing, a shameless dance. I am more honest than you may think, and maybe even the lark would agree. I have made good on all my promises, and I promise I have made good on all my celebrations. They all begin with the rebirth of everything I've ever loved, the dew of leaves, the morning songs of birds again. So that was a little more of the hopeful notes that I'm trying to write into. This here is the last poem I'll read, and it's called Mr. T on Why He Wears So Many Gold Chains. Really, I pity the fool that lived like me, wrapping my hands into any shape other than a fist just to prove my worth, and still no one sees no difference till I swing them wildly, till I nearly collapse into the bloodthirsty monster of myself. Really, it ain't a man alive that know the real Mr. T. Only know the showmanship, invisible manhood, the temper flustering into a tantrum of blind fury, the untamed beast in me raging for revenge. I done lived a full life before they quivered to the sound of my name, knelt before idols that couldn't love me back, pledged allegiance to anything I couldn't destroy, beloved by only the sorrow I held captive in my heart until I could hear it speaking back to me. It ain't a man alive that know the real me. I ask strangers, do you love me? And they all say, as long as I can look deep into your eyes and see a cesspool of brokenness. So I became used to vesseling the white space between the blood-red cobwebs of my eyes with the shattered remains of my passions. We all need to be loved, even if by the most unholy admirers. Any of these men would put me beneath a patch of dirt and draw constellations on my grave. So for now, I'm gonna be a bad man, but I ain't gonna be no dummy. I ain't gonna be no product of amusement or gimmick in all gold. Every night, I cut my hands to the sky as a prayer for some God to cleanse me of my sin, but cleanse me of my shame, but leave the sin. The smart man knows how to reconsider himself a sacrifice to something greater, a chain, chrome of gold spun sun honeycombed around my neck like an anchor to earth, a blessing I never believed life could improvise. I've only ever been loved in my dreams by a family of songbirds picking moons of light and sugar out the sky, draping them around my shoulders until I am so bright that folks from far and wide know my name but get struck blind up close. That is what I know true love to be, the business of God making, the art of finding new ways to silently proclaim resurrection. For once, I have chosen to testify. Praise be to the shimmery riot neckling my chest, to the diamonds and carats and kaleidoscope of heaven, envoy with me until the smoke blows, until I die vested in so many chains that it takes a nation of millions to hold me up. Thank you. That was my last poem.
Wow. Thank you so, wow. Wow. My husband and I were just looking at some old Mr. T clips. Like, it's interesting how it came full circle. And he was candidly, checking out on the reporter about why he wears all of his gold and chains, and how he talked about that being a thing of beauty, and talked about rituals in Africa that helped to inform who he was. And so there's a quote that I used in a panel that I was sitting on, from Henry Louis Gates Jr., that says that if there are 40 million Black people in the world, then there are 40 million ways to be Black. And I am grateful for the ways that you were Black in this space today. And to our non-Black ally, Cassidy, thank you so much for being who you were in the space today. But thank you for being your version of Blackness. Thank you for being a living epistle. And thank you for being true Black living history. This is a beautiful show. Thank you, everyone who's going to enjoy this performance tonight. Again, we apologize for our technical issues. Hopefully, we won't have them in place when we come back to you for another Youth Advisory Board curated event, 365 Days of Coronation. It is a community open mic share so that folks can join our open mic and decompress about how the pandemic has worn them out and or lifted them up. If you're interested in being a part of our open mic list, you can go to bit.ly/CWP open mic, and we will also produce a flyer for that as well. So thank you again so much. Clearly, we won't turn back. There is so much work ahead of us. So onward we go. God bless you. Good night.